Pregame.com.
Louisville, Florida. First question I have in this game, and the beauty of having you here is as I went through my handicap, I'm like, I'm going to ask Bryan about this. I'm going to ask Bryan about this. How do you account for the times, excuse me, where there's such a big line with a relatively low total? Clearly, the lower the total, the more each point is worth. And in this case, you're looking at almost a 2-touchdown total, or a 2-touchdown spread, and we got a total of 45.5 or so. How do you handicap that?
No, basically, they don't think Louisville's going to put many points on the board here. You got a Florida team who's been one of the most dominant defenses in the NFL, coming from the top level of the SEC, going against a team from Louisville who has played a very easy schedule, haven't faced many good defensive teams. Maybe Connecticut, and they scored 10 in regulation against Connecticut. They faced a pretty easy defense. Bridgewater's a quarterback that's got a lot of press, but he hasn't faced this type of defense.
All right, so forgetting this game specifically, but oftentimes you hear about correlated parlays where, well, if this happens, then it increases the chance of this happening. Can you walk me through how you think about that?
Yeah, in fact, I usually put up a thread in your forums at pregame if I have an NFL, and what I like to do is go over the key numbers, 3, 4, 6, and 7, in a low total game, because the points are worth a little bit more.
So this is with a teaser.
I put out a teaser, and this is something here, and I don't recommend teasers in college.
Yeah, college football, everyone.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah, because the point, and here's why. Let's talk about is the line isn't as sharp. So in a way, it's a paradox. The fact that college for many is easier to beat because the line's not so sharp means every half point is worth less.
Right.
That's your buying, and really what a teaser is you're buying 6 points.
The only way you want to play a teaser is if the line is right.
Yeah.
In college, you don't want to play it at all.
Oh, that's a good thing. And Ed Meyer, physicist, friend of yours from back in Cleveland, who's at pregame.com, talks about that if you know a line is wrong, you want to play, or if you feel confident there's value, you want to play the side. If the line is right, it means there's a better chance it's going to fall close to that number, and thus the fact you bought those 6 points is going to give you a winner. And it also talks about how much variance is there going to be in this game. The total talks about here's the thing. If you know there's only going to be 7 points scored, or let's say 7 points, you do a 10-point teaser and you can't lose, right? So the more points that are scored, the less each point is worth. In this case, if you can get 14 points on the dog and there's not going to be a ton of points scored, even more value than if its total was 70.
Correct.
All right. Now, that said, I don't love Louisville here. Florida's played a lot of close games. They're 5-1 in games decided by one score this year. So that lends me towards Louisville too, right? So I like to play dogs. Also, another reason I'd like to play Louisville here is if you go to pregame.com and go into the odds section, there's certain books that are more square. And there's certain books that are sharper, like Bookmaker's an extra sharp book, 5 Dimes is a sharp book. If you look at it, the sharp books are at 13.5 on this game. The square books are at 14. Now, 14 is a key number, right? So the fact that they're saying we're willing to let you lay 13.5 in this game is a sign that they the Chris's of the world, the sharpest books, like the dog here. Now, what's stopping me a little bit is this Florida team, and talking about some of your friends, is you grew up with Phil Steele on ESPN. He's renowned as a college football specialist. He had a stat in the Florida bowl games, 21 straight games, the winner of the game covered the spread. So either the underdog won the game and automatically they covered the spread, or the favorite won by more than the spread. Now that's amazing, 21 straight times. And I think it makes sense with Spurrier and his inclination to run it up. So he's got that fan base thinking that if we don't cover, you've disappointed us, especially if you're almost a 2-touchdown favorite. So I think if they get a chance, Florida, and in a way, when you're laying 14, it's about motivation to some degree. I think if they get a chance, they run this game up a little bit. So I don't really want to take the dog. What's your take?
At this point, I don't have a play in this game, but I kind of look at it the other way. I'm looking for the motivation. For Florida, at one time they were undefeated, one of the top teams in the country. Now they're playing a Louisville team. Can they really get up for this game against Louisville? Whereas Louisville is looking at it, everybody's saying, why is this team even in the BCS game? It's similar to the Northern Illinois game when they're playing later on against Florida State. These teams use that for motivation. Everybody in the world saying, this is a blowout. They don't have a chance in this game. The players go into this, they go, this is the game we want. They've dreamed about playing a team like Florida. And when the sharp books are saying that that's the right side, that's the way I would look at it.
I agree. And if I had to bet the side, and that's really the story here. When you have these standalone bowl games, people want to have an opinion. And you can hear when I like a game, I'm like, fact 1, fact 2, fact 3, any rebuttal, no chance to rebut that, I've got a best bet. But the reality is, and what we try to do at pregame is, we try to think what the average bettor does. We want to make you better than average. We want to teach you that over time. But the reality is, by definition, most people are average. Most people want to bet their 20 or 30 bucks or whatever their pizza money is on a game like this. So I'm trying to find, is there something that's 53.5%? You know, and I think that if you had to play the side, you know, the dog here is the side, but I think the better plays the under. And I think because I think the better team dictates the pace of we talk about that in basketball. I think that's the case in football too. And I think Florida is a team that it's not the Spurrier team. This is a methodical team that isn't as much about fast paced. I think it's a workmanlike win for them. Maybe that late score goes over 14. Maybe it doesn't. But I actually like the under here. Any thoughts?
Not much on that, but you kind of touched on trying to teach. And, you know, I mentioned before in the forums, I'm on there a lot. A lot of people have questions, and there are other handicappers on there in the past, and still are, who try to answer your questions if you ask questions about this. In fact, I was on there today. A guy was asking about what he should do as local as doing a certain thing. There's one of our contributors on the website, Tuftak, and he's in the Hilton contest. He's actually tied for first place going into this last week. So we could have one of Pregame's own winning the Hilton contest again. And I know Fezzik's been doing a lot of work with us lately. And
yeah, Fezzik's two-time winner.
Yep.
And actually, Johnny Detroit in 2004 managed a team that actually won a tie. There was a 3-way tie for first. So this would be amazing. So, and again, that's one of the beautiful things about the forum. You got some really talented handicappers, not only professionals, but others that are there to answer your questions and everything. So we want to wish him the best of luck. And now I want to make this play official. Another pizza bet on a TV bowl game. I think Florida is a methodical team that will dictate the pace here. I like the under. It's an opinion, but under in this game. All right, my man, good stuff. You know, we do a lot. You know, we did a podcast last year when I was prepping for Collins Picks with you and Chris Andrews. We spent like 25, 30 minutes breaking down 5 games. Having a chance to dig a little deeper and pick your brain, it's a real asset. And you're in the pregame.com forums, and you know, you sell your picks at pregame.com. So thank you, Bryan, for this week.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, next week, the normal crew is going to be back. We're going to have videos taped on Wednesday with the first 3, Thursday with the second 3, looking at bowl games, looking at the NFL playoffs, and looking at basketball. You can get all of our stuff at pregame.tv. Talk to you then.